You're live.
All right, we are ready to start. Before we starting, I want to thank Cultuurfonds Caribisch Gebied for making this all work. And we will start with Marielle for a presentation. So, have a nice evening. Yeah, thank you all for being here. I'm Marielle. I will start off this presentation. If you saw us walking across the street or in the forest, you probably saw something with nets. Not for me, but for the other guys. They will tell about it later. But this was how you could see us, searching in the net, beating on trees to search for beetles or other stuff. Very passionate, running after flying insects, catching them with a net, sieving the soil to see what kind of spiders or other beetles are in there, also photographing, searching through rotten fruit, maybe some new beetles are in there, and if you are very passionate about hoverflies, you will stick your head in a net to see what's in there. And then on to my insects, butterflies. But first, something about me. I'm Marielle Molenaar. I'm 30 years old. I'm chief editor of the magazine Vlinders, Butterflies, for the Dutch Butterfly Conservation. And I also do some communication and other stuff, but the magazine is really my thing. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can see some pictures of last couple of days, so you can see more about what we did. So for here, my goal was to see all 30 known butterfly species of Saba, make lots of photos of them so I can create my own photo guide afterward to be used for everybody. Until now, we've seen 25 species, of which 2 new for the island. This one, the lime swallowtail, and Michiel saw yesterday a painted lady. I haven't seen it yet, but that also comes in, is in the Netherlands, so for me it's not new, but this one was. If you want to look at butterflies, I've seen 3 great spots. At the start of the North Coast Trail, at the Springberry Flat, and at the top of Calby's Ridge. Those were very rich with butterflies, many species, and also lots of them. I will not tell much about butterflies and such, but I will show you some pictures I've made from the last days to give you a view of what you can see here if you look at butterflies. So first on blues, the right one, the Cassius blue, is very common here. It flies everywhere. It's a small butterfly and very blue, as the name says. And we also saw the Hanno blue, but we saw it only once. Then some species will look like leaf. The Florida leafwing on the left and the ruddy doddering on the right. They're both very orange on the inside, but mostly you see this side of the butterfly. Then some yellows. They look a bit the same, but the left one is very tiny and the right one is big. And you see them both a lot. This one, the orange one, you probably also see. It's very pretty, the big one, it's one of my favorites. Some hair streaks, they're small, they look a little like the blue ones, but just a little different. They're often high in trees, but sometimes also come down to flowers. And what I also did were some countings to see how many species, how many butterflies there are, and then you walk for 50 minutes and record all the butterflies you see. And if you want to, you can do this too. You have to use the butterfly count app. Saba will be added soon in this app, but you can already use it for now by putting country on elsewhere. And if you want to know more about butterflies, you can ask me later. Next on to spiders.
Yes, that's me. Ah, turn it off. How do I do that?
Just press and hold.
Be on now.
I don't know.
1 second. Alright, yes, spiders. So the critters will eat the butterflies. Here's a small overview of what occurs on the island, the most striking ones at least, because there's many, many more. But first, something about me as well. So I'm Koen Verhoogd, 31 years old. Studied Forest and Nature Conservation in the Netherlands, where I worked afterwards as an ecotoxicologist, so basically studied the effects of all kinds of pesticides and stuff like that on insects. And now, last 2 years I work as project leader also at the Dutch Butterfly Conservation, same as Marielle. And the entomology part I mainly do as a hobby on the side. As you can see here, I'm dressed like I should be in the Netherlands, cold weather, thick jacket, not necessary here. So, spiders. How do they look like? How do you recognize them? First off, very simple, 8 legs. They always have that. But there are also other creatures who also have 8 legs. For example, harvestmen. Look a little bit like spiders, but the main difference is basically how the compartments are aligned. So harvestmen are basically one big ball, also with 8 legs. And
Can you repeat that word?
harvestmen.
Harvestman?
Yes. Opelionis in Latin. They look a lot like spiders, but mainly live under stones and stuff like that, so hidden away. While spiders often walk along paths and everywhere basically. But harvestmen are one big ball with 8 legs, and spiders, you can see, you have a hind body part, basically the same as us, and then the jaws and then the eyes on top. Eyes, the amount of eyes vary. Mostly there are 8 of them, 8 different eyes, but there are species with 6 eyes or even without any eyes, so they're blind, but they live in the soil, so they also don't need them.
Says you.
True, but they developed that way, so I assume they could do without it. Basically all insects, but also spiders, are symmetric. So if you cut them in half, put a mirror in it, you can see a fully grown spider. So the left side is exactly the same as the right side. And one cool body part they have are the spinnerets. You see them here on the abdomen. And that's where they produce the silk for their webs. So that's where that's the part comes from. Then, the spiders of Saba. What was known before we arrived, 67 species known for the islands. Sorry, 76. In Dutch you pronounce it the other way around, so that's confusing. And that divided over 18 different families. So basically a family is a group of spiders which share the same characteristics. So there are 18 groups or families, right? Of which 6 of them haven't been described yet. So they're like new to science, no one ever saw them before. Then I arrived, and the last 9 days I roughly doubled the amount of species seen. We found 6 different new families as well. Also a couple of families which haven't been seen for the whole Caribbean area yet, so that's quite surprising actually. And well, a guesstimate of about 25 undescribed species yet, so that's a lot of homework to do. Thank you.
And you were sick half of the time.
And I was sick half of the time, yeah. But even when I was sick at home, I caught a spider, so it's a continuous process. Here you can see this small bib here is where I was sick. But this is the amount of new species I found each day. So first day, really steep. Everything was new basically. But then you see it flattens off a little bit. Here found a new kind of habitat, a salty habitat. So there were lots of new species there as well. So it's flattening off. So I expect to finish somewhere around, well, between 150 and 200 species. So three more days to go.
How long has it been since somebody counted?
There was one scientist from America here in 2008, top of my head, a lady, and she was the first one here to collect, and so far the only one as well. So there's only one.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you know her name?
Not on top of my head. But, yeah, Lauren is supposed to. Yeah.
Esposito.
Esposito.
CMR.
Yeah.
Ah, she's from CMR as well. Amazing group of people, I always say that. Then, let's zoom in a bit of the locations where you can find spiders. Well, easily said, spiders are everywhere. Really everywhere. In your house, under your bed, but also in forest, in the litter layer, grasslands, under rocks. You can find them everywhere. But each species has its own preference for where it will live. So on the left you see the Spring Bay Flat. Amazing place for spiders, lots and lots of species. And that's a really hot, dry grassland with some shrubs as well in it. And here you can find a really big orb creepers. It's a really nice species we don't have in Europe, so it was nice to find it, but it's really everywhere in, well, mainly every dry grassland. And this one's quite nice. Well, for a picture it's nice because in like real life, from lactid to lactid, it's 18 centimeters, so that's huge. It's the biggest spider of the island so far. It's a huntsman, yes, indeed, very good. So they can bite people, but they're not venomous, so it will just hurt because they pierce your skin. That's no harm done.
Unless you're allergic.
Yeah, true. Unless you're allergic, yeah. Then other habitat. Lots of it on top of the mountain, the forest, ranging from a bit drier to the more wetter kind of the forest. Here you can see lots and lots of species of jumping spiders here on the bottom. And a group, I see the picture a bit vague. It only has a Latin name, so no common name. It's called Tetragnathidae. It's on the top right. They're really cool, so they can elongate their bodies if they're stressed or if they're being predated. So they just look like a twig. So really hard to find unless you have nets to sweep it. Otherwise, it just look like a twig on their web. It's a really cool defense mechanism, basically. Then, if you zoom into that forest, you have several spots on the mountain where there are rocky formations, sometimes overgrown with all kind of vegetation. And those are where the really, really cool spiders occur. Because that's a habitat which, well, isn't that common throughout, well, basically the world, but especially this area. So you have, on top right, also another common English name, Volcidae, so they're like really tiny balls, spiders, but with really, really long legs. And they can like jump a little bit in their web when they're disturbed. So it's like trying to scare off their predator. I found so far 8 species of that group, that family. All of them new to the island, so that's really nice. And they really live in like the dry areas, but also in your house. Often in like your bedroom or the less disturbed areas, you can find them in the corner of your house where they build a tiny web and catch away the mosquitoes. They're also very useful. I see a question.
When you say new to the island, do you mean new to the island or newly discovered and they've been here forever?
Yeah, newly discovered. That's made
Okay.
often the case with spiders. Some of them are translocated, so they're brought here with shipments or whatever. Most of them occur there for thousands and thousands of years.
It's a question that might be a little grand, but this is a volcanic island. So when it came up and formed, where did these spiders come from?
Yeah, the question was where did the spiders come from in the beginning of the formation of the island? Bit of everywhere. Some of the spiders it's called ballooning. So they, with their spinners, they make a little web, throw it in the air, and they drift with the wind well, basically everywhere they can steer it, so that just where the wind goes, they'll land. But they can drift together with logs or whatever through the sea. So there are all kinds of ways to travel. Some species, I haven't found them on this island, but they're known to grab legs of birds, and then as soon as the bird lands somewhere else, they let go, and you have a new spider. So there are all kinds of ways, and also they can form new species on the island itself. So if they're here long enough, they're isolated enough, it can become, well, it's a process of tens of thousands of years, they can become new species. Yeah. Question about.
So that gigantic huntsman spider, it doesn't live on Lower Hell's Gate, right?
Yes. Specifically,
I think specifically one house over there is like the core of the population. Now it really lives on the extensive dry grasslands. So it's quite a big habitat. It needs quite a big habitat. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, well, the grasslands around it, yeah, for sure. You can find them. Yeah. Nothing to worry about.
don't look.
And the group of spiders on the bottom right, that's more of the classic orb weaver family group. But this species in particular has really nice, like the elongated cone-like body parts. In Dutch it's also called kegelspins or cone spider. But that's a different species. But it's well, really nice form. And here you can see also really nice characteristic of spiders. This is a male. You can see that with those little boxing balls they have on top of their head basically. That's their reproduction organs, or well, basically the organs where they can transform the sperm. So they form it inside the body, pick it up, and then meet a lady, and then they transfer it.
And then they die.
And then often they die or get eaten by the female. Then another really cool habitat which we came across 2 days ago, I think, is the beach basically, and especially the beach where a lot of materials get washed up. So we see lots of seaweed, but also wooden logs and coconuts and whatever. And because it's constantly influenced by the salty water, it makes sure that there are different species there, because often normal species can't live with that salty habitat, but there are species specialized to deal with those kind of conditions. And most of them, it's quite funny actually, I didn't realize it, but they're all around. It's all the same family which occurs there. And they're also called the bowl spiders, like in a bowling ball kind of way. So they're all really around, ball-like spiders. And on the bottom right you see the in English it's called a brown widow. That's one of the more venomous species on this island. Not deadly venomous, but it will hurt if it bites you, but it won't, like it doesn't attack people.
Do they live in Lower Hell's Gate?
Also, this species is known to live in houses as well. But especially, it's really funny, but it's always in every paper you see it. Lower Hell's Gate is the population of the venomous spiders.
There goes your estate value. But they're not, so they're traveling down, they're not coming into the ocean.
No, these are.
Yeah, they really live there, so they reproduce there as well. So they don't travel throughout the island, they just occur at one spot where they have a population where they
Like the salt.
Yeah, they can deal with the salt, that's basically it. So they don't really like it, but they can deal with it as a few species, so it's an open habitat basically.
So are they eating all the fleas and stuff that come in on the
Exactly.
sargassum weed? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is this?
Cool.
So is there habitat within the rocks,
Spring.
within the seaweed? Is there habitat within the rocks or within the seaweed or?
Yeah, so the habitat is basically under everything. So under rocks, under logs, under seaweed as well. Hidden away, making small webs where flies or all kind of small critters can fly in and get eaten basically. And then one small last little insight in the amazing ecology of spiders. Here on the right you see the really common orb weaver again. It lives in the dry grasslands. Big spider, a couple of centimeters body parts. On the left, really zoomed in one species of spiders, only 2 millimeters, but you can always find it in the same web as the big one, because it lures there in a corner And as soon as this one catches a prey which it doesn't eat immediately, this one sneaks in, snacks it, runs away, and has a huge snack. So that's
What's that called?
only has a Latin name. It's called Leucauge velustra. So when I leave, I'll question each and every one of you to see if you remember the name. But that's the amazing kind of ecology of all kinds of species. One last question.
Sorry, because we had loads of those little yellow ones.
Yeah.
So I thought they were the males from the yellows, but it's different
No,
species.
yeah, this is different species. So the males of this one do look different and are a bit smaller. But this one is even more small. So there's only like 1.5, 2 millimeters. So really small species. Yeah. And I think my time is up for that question.
Look what's coming up.
The web looked on the photograph, it looked so, like messed up. It's not neat and tidy.
It's because you had coffees.
It's
Ah.
Yeah, now here you see like a prey already webbed in. So that's they mess up their web when they have a new prey, but then afterwards they repair it again, and then it's all
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
and it's perfect.
Last question, then we go to the next one.
Do they generate?
They can regenerate one if they lose it, but they often sometimes hide it away, stick it to the body. So they always have 8 legs. Yeah. But they can regenerate it. Really last one. Afterwards, you can reach me. I will stay here afterwards. But
I was wondering, all the species that you found, are they going to be published so people can identify them?
yes, there will be a paper, just basically a list of names, but also with pictures and stuff like that to recognize them. But there will be someone's work, so don't expect it next week. It will be done, yes. Then we go to Sean.
Let me see if I get the smaller one working as well.
You're good. It's blinking.
Yeah,
It's
good.
blinking.
Oh, nice. Yeah, well, I don't really like to look at spiders. I'd rather have 6 legs and a pair of nice wings. And I really like to look at hoverflies. And I think you know this one. Might be a bit dark, I understand. If you've ever walked around the forest or up the hill, this is the one that will be hovering, I guess you can guess it, next to your face or above the trail. And it's a really nice green one, and yeah, I really like that animal. But hoverflies, well, first a little bit about me. I'm John Fahrenhout, 26 years old. I'm still a master student actually of environmental sciences in Wageningen, the Netherlands, as you guessed it. And over the past couple of years, I've been doing a lot of field surveys for hoverflies, but also a lot for bees, wild bees, for as European Invertebrate Survey. And yeah, that's part of why I'm here telling you this. And then I guess I have to tell you about what is a hoverfly. So hoverflies, well, that's actually the bottom point, but they do look sometimes a lot like wasps and bees. But they have 2 wings. So the name of flies in general is Diptera, which is 2 wings. Like mosquitoes and other flies as well. So it's part of the whole fly group. And morphologically, they have 2 wings. They have incredibly large eyes on their head. It's almost the whole head's eyes, which is, I think also quite cute and beautiful. And they have very short antennae. So I guess you know antennae from other insects are very long. And hoverflies, almost all hoverflies have antennae that are shorter. So really, really short, especially shorter than the head. There are only a couple exceptions. But that's, I think, what you really have to keep in mind. And how you can identify them very easily if you see them in the field. And here on the right is a bee. It's also from here, a nice green one. And here you can see that the bee has nice long antennae. proportionally much smaller eyes. And I know you can see it here, but bees do have 4 wings, 2 big front wings and 2 smaller hind wings. And hoverfly is big eyes, short antenna, and 2 wings. And this one is actually very, very small. I know the size is not able to see here, but it's a very small one. Very common here around, well, everywhere. They're from top to bottom. And I think blue with yellow and black pattern on the back is mesmerizing. And they have an interesting life cycle. So a lot of, every fly lays an egg, and they have, in this case, 3 larval stages. They will turn into a pupa, just like a butterfly, and then the adult will hatch from the pupa. What's very interesting is that some larvae, they have quite some different stages. That's not here. Oh, that's here. Wait, yeah. So they have 3 types of larvae. One that eat plants, one that eat insects, and one that eat decaying matter. And the one that eat insects, it's this one, or what's it called? What larvae?
Aphids.
Oh, aphids. Yeah, so the one on the plants, and sometimes are used as biological control, which is very interesting. So here you can see the larvae eating one of the aphids. The larva on the previous slide, so this one is one that lives in rotten material or very oxygen poor conditions. So it has a really long tail, which it will put straight up to catch air, to breathe. It's like a snorkel when you go snorkeling. It has a snorkel to breathe in decaying matter. Not the same, but similar style. And the adults will eat, well, mainly nectar and pollen to survive. So we'll drink nectar for energy and eat pollen for other purposes. And we have now found during the expedition 3 new species. I know it's a bit less than the spiders. But officially published, there was none published yet. So maybe all of them are new. But of course, people saw previous ones before online in some places. So 12 were known here. And we found now 3 new species, which one of them is this one. I guess this one looks more like a bee as well, like quite a good mimic. But notice the short antenna, and the big eyes, and the 2 wings. And yeah, I hope to find a little bit more. But
Do they make sounds when they fly, like a bee? Sound.
yeah, sometimes, yeah, because bees make more sound. Let me say that. So bees, you really hear them buzz a lot, depending on the bee and the size, because you have also really tiny bees and very big bees. And I think the one in the beginning, the green one, you will hear that one, especially when it's close to your head and it will hover like, you will hear it hover. Just like a bigger fly in the house, you also hear them buzz. But smaller ones, and this one when they pass very fast, you probably won't hear them. But yeah, so these are some other ones on the island, and I think these 5 are the most common ones around, so they can be seen well everywhere in windward side, on the bottom, in the forest, on some flowers, that kind of parts, and they're very diverse. Yeah, yeah, these are all my pictures. Yeah. Thank you very much. And so I think those top 2 and the bottom left one are all similar size. The body is around a centimeter, and especially this one is very recognizable because of the black wings. That one's also very recognizable because it's orange. Oh, sorry, that's a question. Yeah.
So they all look like, or some of them look like dragonflies, but dragonflies have 4 wings.
Yeah, exactly. Dragonflies have 4 wings, and the dragonflies usually are much bigger.
Yes.
So these all are the bodies are maximum 1 centimeter of these ones. And yeah, the biggest hoverflies are 2.5, 3 centimeter, I think. That doesn't exist here, but yeah, they're not so big. And dragonflies usually are much bigger, much dirtier. They do hover in flight, that's true. But yeah, so this is the one that will buzz around your head probably. And yeah, this is a nice overview.
So were these photos taken here?
Yeah.
So they're pollinators?
Yeah, so that's very important. People know bees, of course, pollinators. And maybe butterflies as well, but those are also very important pollinators. But hoverflies as well, absolutely. And yes, it works in the same way. Some pollen gets stuck to their legs or body, and they fly to another flower, and then it falls off again. And they will visit different flowers, and so you have to sort of have the whole party of bees and butterflies and hoverflies and other pollinators, even like moths, for example, to have your plants and all the stuff you want to have pollinated to be pollinated, I guess. And then I want to talk a little bit about the mimicry. Mimicry that species will look like each other because one of them is dangerous. And I want you to guess which one is the hoverfly.
3.
3? 3? Not 1?
3.
Which one is the hoverfly?
Tennis. 3.
It's 3, yeah?
3.
Oh, let's check if you're right. Yeah, okay. Very good, very good. I guess you paid attention, because indeed it has very short antennas. I'll put one back. This is one of the wasps on the island. I think you all know it. It's very common. It's everywhere. But it is very interesting because the wasp, and this is another wasp, another example. And probably this one is the most, well, painful for animals, or because it has the biggest sting. That's another very important thing about hoverflies. Actually, they don't sting, they don't hurt, they can't do anything. They're a fly. That's also why it wants to look like the wasp, to not be harmed, to not be eaten, because a bird knows to not eat a wasp. Will probably hurt in your throat, and that's very beautiful. And this is one of the, well, I think cooler ones we found. It's fairly big. Well, yeah, I guess you know the characteristics by now. And this was very unexpected. So it's only known from the Lesser Antilles, only from Guadeloupe, from one observation. And yeah, I think it's a very beautiful, beautiful animal. And yeah, one important last thing to tell you. This is one hoverfly, and I've been looking in vain for it now for the past days. It's only one observation with one photo of the hoverfly on the top of the mountain. It probably lives in tree stumps and rotten material is. So if you find this one, please make a photo, send it maybe to Michiel, put it on Facebook, put it on observation or a naturalist, because we really want to know if there are more and where they are. And also check the next wasp or bee you see to see if it's hoverfly. Well, I think that was
Those
my
are the
talk.
same? Those
Sorry?
are the same?
No, these are very different. That's just another one that's very common. And I think then we're going on to... Oh, sorry, you have a question?
Do these ever sting?
No, they don't have stingers.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Looks
yeah,
like
it's
it's
very easy. No, but that's nice, but yeah.
Female, male differences.
Yeah, so I will check for female-male differences if I have it in the photos. They're not always clear. Yeah, you can see it here, I think. So these are of course not the same species, but what males often have is that the eyes are adjacent to each other. So they're next to each other, and this one as well. So there's just a very thin line between the eyes. And females will have a broader lines, have smaller eyes. And it's probably because males just need to have bigger eyes to find the females. And so this is a female, and that's a male, and this is a female, and that's a male. It's not for all species the same, but that's usually one of the best characteristics. So I think there was another question back there. The adults eat nectar and pollen, so you'll mainly find them on flowers, and sometimes they will eat tree juices, so there will be some juice from trees that are almost dying on the side of the tree, and you can find them there, but that's only a couple of species, and the larvae eat varying stuff. to the question, because otherwise we go to. Oh yeah, another question. So it always depends on species, but usually one cycle, 1 year. So sort of there can be species that will, well, here it's maybe different actually, but usually quite short, usually a couple of weeks, 2 months, and some, well, in Netherlands or in northern parts, depending the eggs or the larvae or the pupa or the adults, depending on species, will overwinter. So some species, well, the adults will go into houses, or the pupas will go into the leaf litter, or the eggs will just stay where they were put, and they will overwinter, and then when spring comes, they will stop. No time for the last one? Yeah? And then go on. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, to finish off, the last presentation for tonight. My name is Rick. I'm an entomologist. I work at the European Invertebrate Survey and Wageningen University at the Biosystematics Group. And I usually work on beetles in Europe, but also other groups in the world. I like to look at a lot of insects, and that's also what I'm going to present about a bit. This is a global insect diversity, and you can see that the Coleoptera, which is a scientific name for beetles, is the largest part of biodiversity known to mankind. So probably there are also a lot more Diptera or flies. You know all about them now, at least the surfids, or Hymenoptera, the wasps and ants. And on this island previously about 114 beetles were known, which is quite a lot, but the estimates are that there are like 400 on this island, or maybe even more. I don't really know. These are some beetles we found during the last week, like longhorn beetles with the long antennae who live in wood underneath the bark. Or very small, this is maybe only 1 or 2 millimeters, rove beetles with very short shields, elytra, so they can bend their abdomen, run very fast, and they're hunting for like springtails and other organisms. And the rhinoceros beetles, but yeah, around here they don't really have a horn like a rhinoceros beetle, so their scientific name is Dynastinae, which are quite big. So maybe even a few centimeters compared to this one. That's a large difference. You wouldn't even be able to see it probably on this picture. And some very obscure, night active, dark beetles like darkling beetles. And this one, I think it's a deadwatch beetle, but the problem arises, it's very hard to identify most of them because there are so many and there's so little known about them. Because most of them live, for instance, in the wood, like these larvae of the same species that is here. And it lives for years, maybe in the wood, or at least 1 year. And often these kind of beetles are visible by their holes in trees, for instance. I really like to dig in trees and like destroy dead wood. Maybe you've seen me doing this around, or you see the traces of trees falling over. And then often you can find these beetles that are actually making the holes, like this weevil was just peeking out, and I had to get it out. This gallery actually, or this one also living in like fungi, decomposed wood deep in the tree. And here you can see actually a new family for the island, I believe, as far as I know. Also living underneath the bark of trees and its larvae. But I thought, let's also spend some time looking at these smaller diversities, some small orders of species that are a bit less known, like this one, stick insect. There's at least one species on this island, maybe more. So we'll talk a bit about grasshoppers, web spinners, cockroaches, termites, and netwinged insects, but I'll just guide you through them. Let's start with the grasshoppers. There's roughly two types of grasshoppers, like the real grasshoppers with short antennae, and the crickets, very long antennae, usually a bit flat, except for the bush crickets. They're higher, long legs, and these are roughly active at night, so during the day you will probably barely see them, and these during the day. They make a lot of sound. If you just walk around in an hour, you will hear maybe 10, maybe 15 species of katydids and crickets, all with a different place in the soundscape of the forest here. And then I want to talk about this. I don't know if anyone has ever seen this around here. I see someone expected that. This is a web spinner, very strange, almost subterrestrial or behind bark of trees. And they spin these kind of webs like a spider, but they don't do it with their abdomen, they do it with their front legs. So they have these kind of thick feet with an organ which also produces silk, and they just spin their webs. The males are winged, some of the species, and there's at least one on this island, which was previously not known, I think, or was found a few times, but it's all over the island. Then the net-winged insects, very beautiful insects with large wings, with lots of cells, lots of veins, and long antennae, and some of them are nocturnal, but you can also see them flying around at night. These are green lace wings because they're green. I have no idea how many species there are here, at least 3, but they're very hard to identify. They lay their eggs on stalks, you can see them on bark or leaves, so the predators cannot eat the egg, very smart. And they themselves also eat aphids, like the syrphids, so you can see them foraging. And they sometimes cover themselves in the debris or sometimes body parts of their culprits or soil. And then this very cool mantid fly. Well, no, we haven't found a mantid here. No, that's a very interesting group as well. Maybe it's on the island, but I'm not aware of it. I don't think so. They're quite big. No, but these are here. They at least look a bit like mantis, and they do hunt in the same way with their front legs, just grabbing other insects. But the larvae is very interesting because they are the most strange. They are the ones, like we've heard about spiders eating the butterflies, but these are the ones eating the spiders. Actually, they, as an young larvae, they hitchhike on spiders, also on other species group, but I believe the species that's on this island lives from spiders. And then they hunt till the female spider lays a nest, like with eggs, and then they eat them. They look like this, and then they grow as an adult, and they're very scarcely found in larger vegetation. Sometimes at night. They like to go at light. Then we have the antlions, which it's a bit bright, but they have these large wings. There are at least 2 species on the islands, and if they sit still, they fold their wings over the abdomen, and they do look very similar like dragonflies actually. But they have longer antennae, and they're much less agile and fast. Dragonflies also usually hunt during the day, and these fly at night mainly, sometimes during the day as well. And their larvae also looks like a monster from a movie, with large jaws, and they dig themselves into soil. They make these kind of traps, and if an ant or another insect falls in, they grab it and they eat it. And then we have this one, I don't know, I hope someone has seen it. It's a pity. Yeah, maybe it's in Hell's Gate, we have to search there, yeah. Because this is not known yet from the island, but on St. Maarten they do have hoverflies, also a very strange group, with long antennae. The antennae kind of look like the eggs of the green lacewings, I now see it again. But yeah, if you see one, make a picture because it's very cool, and I think it should be occurring here. And we have some cockroaches, you probably also know this one. American cockroach is probably running around here as well. But also these beautiful cockroaches are here, in the bushes, in the trees. They live underneath bark and on top of leaves. and this one, also very beautiful, although the younger ones are like purely black. And the funny thing is, this cockroach actually, as nymphs, they live also together with these things, termites, in trees. And there are roughly 2 types of termites, and they're very related to cockroaches. They're kind of social cockroaches without wings, so to say. Although they don't look like cockroaches anymore. And you have these ones with the cone heads, you've probably seen them around. They need to stay in touch with the floor, or like the ground, because they're soil termites actually, ground termites. And these ones, which are dry wood termites, they can also just live in the wood themselves without connection to the ground. So I think that's about it for now. Let's have a beer, and if there are some questions, you can reach out to us. And I thank you all for listening.
Are there some questions for one of the scientists? Yes.
I have a question for
Oh, nice nickname.
Yeah, can you go back to the last slide?
This
Have
one.
you seen the one up there on the right?
Yeah, these ones were actually, I just quickly put the pictures in here because yesterday we actually found them, yeah.
Okay, because they are lower health space.
Yeah, I think,
For true.
yeah, both of them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, these ones are really all over the world, but this one, I think it's, yeah, quite local here.
Yeah, but I haven't seen them up here, but
No.
they're down at the
Yeah.
airport area.
And I think Michiel found them like really underneath rocks in drier areas, and there are a lot in caves.
Butterfly question. So, what are our average life expectancies of butterflies on Saba?
You mean how old they? Yeah?
How old they can be before they die.
Sorry.
How old they can be before they die.
Yeah, some species just a couple of weeks, another couple of months, like the adult butterfly.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they are a caterpillar, then they become a pupae, they become a butterfly, and they only live to reproduce, and then they die.
And the butterfly stage is how long?
From a couple of weeks to a couple of months.
Cool.
In the back. If we have found any species that only are found in Saba.
Of course, for spiders, the most interesting group. I think we found about, well, the undescribed species are all only found here. So there's about 25 spiders, but also I think 6 or 7 species of spiders which are only found really on this island so far. So, yeah.
In Lower Hills Gate?
Not in Lower Hell's Gate, I think, no. Any other questions?
Let's see.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation, all the information. I'm not really sure if I think cockroaches are beautiful. I have to say, they're beautiful pictures, but still. Thank you all for being here as well. We want to thank Culture Fonds Caribisch Gebied one more time. Please, if you stay for dinner, could you give us a hand and put back all the tables and chairs? That will be really lovely. If you're not staying, don't forget to pay your bill. And hopefully we'll see you back in 2 weeks with new scientists.